Hi guys, it's Tom Young, and I think it's time to give you a little bit of shop update. It's March, so let's see what's going on. So this car, the 330 Series 2 car, is moving along. We got the plating is coming back in drips and drabs, so like I'm installing the marker lights. I have lenses for the front ones. I'm actually getting them remade. There'll be a future video about that one, but I have at least the chrome pieces are installed and wired and all that other stuff. So that's that, and I put all the little sockets in. Same thing goes for the tail light. I have that one installed with the light bulbs and sockets installed. I had a small issue with one of the lights on the left side, so that's still waiting. I mean, we looked at it. I saw a little blemish in the chrome plating, so that one is still out. It should be coming back soon. Had the trunks installed. Had to take the trunk lid out. Some of you guys, if you're following on Instagram, you'll see that I had it out and it's back in the car and glued in place. Here's the trunk, or rather the gas filler neck. Let me see if I can get this thing. So that had to come, was installed. I put all the pieces in and all the little adjustments and everything like that. So that's installed, and now it kind of clicks back in place really nicely. I've got to glue the little emblem on it. This particular cap did not have a stud through it. Some of them had studs all the way through. I've seen a lot of GTCs have it, but this one looks like it's just epoxied in place. I have the chrome piece that's already plated, so that one needs to go in. Dash is pretty much installed. I'm leaving the speedometer out. I apologize if this is a repeat from last time because I just don't remember what I've talked about, but this is pretty much installed and ready to go. The steering wheel is something that the owner and I have to talk about. This is just a steering wheel that I put in for now, that I have in my collection, but he's got his own steering wheel that needs to be refinished. So we're kind of reminds me talking to we gotta talk. Does he want to do it? Do I want to do it? I kind of want to get the owner involved, so I think he should be able to do it himself. But we'll talk about the process, and I'll probably walk him through it. But it'd be kind of cool for him to do it himself, because then that way he'll take pride in the part of the restoration. He'll be involved in some of it. Worst comes to worst, it has to be redone again, but I think he should give it a shot. But I'll probably be making that phone call soon. The rest of it, I'm still waiting for Francois, my mentor, to finish doing the rear end. He's just about got it set up, so the car is still up on its dolly wheels because I need to move this car around in the shop just to get it out of the way. Which I'll get into later, but right now the car's still on dollies. Front suspension is basically done, so that's all ready to go. Steering is in, everything's good. So that's I think I just got to do brakes. I've got the booster done. There's the speedometer. I just got to deal with one seal that I'm looking for on this brake master that I need to put together, and then once I can find that one seal, I can put this all back together and rebuild it. Here's the lenses that were made. These were really nicely done, and those are going to go in the tail. What I'm waiting for right now is the right screws that'll hold the lights in. So that's kind of like a piece. Also, I had these guys done. These lenses for the bumper or the license plate lights. So those are done, ready to go. Like I said, it comes back in drips and drabs. I mean, big thing here is the horse is ready to go back in the grill, so I can get that going. Just little pieces that I'm waiting, like door handles are basically, half the door handles are done. So what happens is my plater kind of sends it to me, as he has it, so then I can kind of look at it, and then sometimes other pieces are just waiting to get installed. So we're just kind of, it's all trickling back in as I put this car back together. So that's that car. This car, I'm working on the grill, this grill as well, getting that one all fitted and in here. I've got screws on order that I can install this grill. As always, like I've said to you about this car, is I'm always finding things that are missing. So the latest thing that I realized was missing was the fuel regulator. So I was actually able to find one. Shaughnessy, who's the purveyor of used Ferrari parts, had one. A little rough, but you know, I think it'll clean up fine, and I had to chase some threads and get this thing kind of fixed, but I think it's going to work fine. So that one's going to go in the car. Had to fabricate a bracket for it, so that's going on there. This car, it's just the wheels are out for refinishing, and this GTC is just getting ready for you know, road use. I'm hoping to get it on the road and drive it a little bit, and maybe send and definitely send it on its way. So there's not much there except for me just driving it and tuning it and getting it ready to go. The winter's been, you know, kind of sloppy out, so I just want to get this ready, road ready, so when the weather's good we can take it out, just drive it and get it going. My car, yes, same thing, sitting here and just waiting for good weather. So maybe I'll announce this now, because I'm just kicking this around. Ferrari Club National Show, or International Show, depending on how you look at it, is being held up in Wisconsin this year, near Elkhart Lake, and the track is going to be Road America. I'm kicking around the idea of taking this car up there. I don't know if I'm going to drive it. I'm thinking about shipping it and then maybe driving it back. It's a 1,500 mile drive. I've driven this car up to Montreal. I kind of feel like I have to, if I talk about Ferraris are meant to be driven, then I can't really say that unless I do it myself. And I think that this car should be able to do it fine. The only problem with driving it to there is that I have to show a car or two up in Wisconsin, and if I break down somewhere in between here and Wisconsin while I'm, you know, the customers are waiting for me to arrive, that wouldn't be good. So what I am thinking about doing is shipping the car out there and then maybe driving it back. That would bring me through Milwaukee, Chicago, across the top. So I'd go through Ohio, you know, some of Illinois, and you know, maybe even down to Indiana, but across definitely Ohio and Pennsylvania into New York. That's one way. I mean, the other way I could do is go across the top of Canada. But you know, let me know in the comments below. I mean, if you want to meet up or you think there's a good reason for me to stop somewhere on the way back, this is going to be the end of September. So I've got a little bit of time to prepare. I think I could get some work done on this car. I think I got to look at some oil leaks that are underneath and a couple lines, and you know, maybe I might even do a valve adjustment on this car. It's probably due. But just kicking it around right now. Nothing's written in stone, but it depends on my schedule and everything else that's been going on. We'll see if there's time. Maybe I can do it, but I'm just kicking it. It's got to start planning on something like that now. So that's what I might have in plan for my car. This GTC4 is, the exhaust is out. I think we talked about it. I have a video coming up on it. I'd like to try to do the video as a complete video, but I had the exhaust welded. I have it fitted. It's hopefully coming back any day now from the welders, so that way I could paint it and then hang it and then do final testing and tuning, and this car can go home. The other thing is the Dino. So the Dino, this is that low mileage Dino that I'm working on, and so I've pulled the tank out of it. The reason is because Dinos are known for these little leaks that happen up inside here. And what happened was there's a big oil dripping from the chain adjuster, and it just drips onto the alternator. And the alternator, I looked, was just completely soaked in oil. And you know, we wanted to make this car more reliable, and I couldn't think about sending this car back with the alternator soaked in oil, because we're afraid that the brushes are going to get fouled up and it was going to not charge. So it had to come out. But the problem with pulling the alternator out was I had to pull the air pump that was attached to it. So that was a real bear. In fact, I put some Instagram video about how hard it could be. I may have just experienced the worst job on a Dino. Pulling the alternator out with a USA emissions air pump still attached. Be happy you don't do this for a living. But it came out, cleaned everything up. I have to decide whether or not I should put this air pump back in. It's a lot of weight to throw back there, and it really isn't plugged in anyway. But you know, if you have an opinion, let me know. But I think that you you know, there's different opinions about putting it back in. It does look stock, but I think a lot of people have pulled these things out. It's not connected anyway. They're not using it, but I'll have to decide what I want to do once I get the alternator back from the rebuilders. But the only way to really get it out was to pull the fuel tank out on the right side of the car. So that came out. You know, got to check lines anyway. I wanted to replace some of these vinyl lines that are kind of getting hard and old, so I've got lines on order. So we're going to change those fuel lines and also the bottom lines. These lines on the bottom of the tank that come out below were in pretty good shape because I think somebody had already replaced them, so I think they should be okay. But we'll check and make sure that everything is nice and buttoned up well before I put the fuel tank back in. The other thing I did on this car was I pulled the coolant hoses that run from the front to the back in this car, that runs the length of the car, and again, you know, they're in decent shape, but now's the time to change them out. So I pulled them out, cleaned them out, and I think it was a good thing because there was a little bit of rust in there. I cleaned up some of the rust down the center spine tube. You can see how it was collecting over here. See how that got a little rusty in there. So I cleaned all that out, changed the hoses out and put that out. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm doing the air conditioning. So one of the things on the list for my customer was, you say, I would really like to get the air conditioning going. And the tough thing with air conditioning these days, and I've been doing this, I have to admit, I'm not an air conditioner expert, but I've really tried to learn a little bit more and more through the years, because my customers tend to want to get air conditioning these days. It really was a demand. It was funny, most of these cars, when I grew up or used these cars, we never really worried about air conditioning. Most of the time, once the air conditioner stopped charging and it would start leaking, we just said, the hell with it, we're not using air conditioning. Well, new customers these days pretty much demand that their air conditioning systems work. So this system is still an R12 system, and for a while R12 was not really available. So a lot of cars were switched over to 134A. This car evidently has been sitting empty for years, and it still had the R12 valves. We could now keep it as R12, but my thinking was that if I charge it with R12, I'll send it back to my customer. What if he can't get R12 in his area, and what's the point of filling it with obsolete air conditioner refrigerant? It's not good for the environment, but I heard 134A is not necessarily that good either, but 134A is definitely more available than R12. So one of the things I suggested, which is what I've learned on these air conditioning systems, is that even if it's not leaking at the fittings, it's slowly leaking out of these hoses, because these hoses are 50 years old and plus. So, you know, you might charge a system, and then a lot of guys say, oh, I charge it every year. Well, the reason is it's not necessarily leaking out of the fittings, but it's literally leaking out of the hoses. The modern hoses, air conditioning hoses they're using, have like a triple layer or whatever, how many layers of barrier inside, so they're a lot less permeable. They're, you know, from what I understand, the R134A is an even smaller molecule, so the new hoses have to be certainly capable of holding back even the smaller molecule. If I were to change this system over to a 134A, it would probably leak even worse than the R12. So, and not to mention you got to flush the system. So my feeling is we had to get a new dryer. We had to change some of the wiring on this thing. We had to put new hoses in. So might as well just change everything. And that will also include the air conditioner compressor. This air conditioner compressor is still set up for R12. And I think it's time to put a new system in. If I'm going to replace it and charge it with 134A, now is the time to put a replacement York compressor in that has the correct oil, is already flushed out. And if I'm replacing everything, I might as well just replace the compressor. So the plan is to replace everything. Replace the condenser, the evaporator, everything, the whole system. We'll put a 134A system in with modern O-ring fittings, as opposed to these old compression fittings that they had on this, which, you know, you can see is kind of crusty and can be a source of leaks. So I'm going to work with Scott McClure, who runs another Dino website. He supplies a bunch of stuff. He's going to work with me, teach me a little bit about air conditioning. I'm going to have him source the stuff that works for him. his dyno, and then learn all about it and put it in. So that's what's going on with the dyno. Another thing we're doing is replacing the radio. I'm putting the a Bluetooth radio in, so that's going to go in, and you know, so a lot of this car gets disassembled, but I'm trying to do it all at one time because, you know, when you get underneath the dash and you're pulling out the radio, you have to pull up carpeting, and then I can pull out this center area where the evaporator is. So or is that condenser? I always get those two mixed up, which one's the one that's under the dash. But anyway, I have to pull that out. And another thing that I wanted to see if anybody had any comments on is the carpeting. So this is the original carpet, which is this gray color, but it seems to have gotten stained at some point. We're trying to decide what we want to do. It's really kind of neat that it has the original carpeting and it has the original snaps and everything. I'd like not to just throw this out, but I'm curious if anybody has any experience. It looks like rust stained on this, and you know, there's got to be guys out there who are detailers and know how to do this. You can't scrub this too hard because all the wool fibers will come out, but if anybody has any comments as to what they would use to remove some of these stains out of this wool carpet, I would love to hear from you guys on you know, in the comments below. So I might try to mess around with this, but at the very least, this carpet has to come out because I have to you know, take the air conditioning system out from inside, and so I can make room for the new system. What we might do is make another insert carpet and lay it over here, but at the very least, it would be nice to take some of these stains away and you know, make the carpet, try to preserve this carpet a little bit. So that's the project, you know, carpeting, air conditioning, radio, coolant lines, all that good stuff. So making a lot of progress on this dyno, just to make it a lot more reliable and a good driver for the owner, because he's really excited about getting it back in the spring. Another project that I'm working on, if you haven't noticed, is I got a big old lift sitting here. It's time for me to get a second lift. I have this one here, and I've been, as you can see, everything is on dollies because you know, I really need this second. I think I need a second lift. The 4-post over there, I put the other car up there, and it kind of takes time to, can't take that one on and off because it doesn't have an engine. But then again, this one doesn't either. So I've really been just so busy with just even these few cars. This winter, I kind of turned away some work just simply because I said, look, I got too many cars I got to work on, and I can't take, you know, it's just only so many hours I can put in. But at the same time, not having a second lift, or a third lift for that matter, has really kind of hindered me in able to do this, because I've had to, you know, spend a half a day moving a car, swapping that car with this car, because once I fit the exhaust, the car was going to take several days for it sitting here because I'm waiting for the welder to finish welding. So, and that stopped me from doing anything with the dyno. So we've had to, you know, put this on go jacks, move this, get the dyno up in the air so I can work on it. So I heard about this lift that was available. So I went ahead and bought it. It was relatively inexpensive, but now I've got to install it. So luckily I have a forklift. You probably see it in the background all the time. So I got the forklift fired up and I'm moving. So I think I've got some bolts ordered, and I'm gonna lay it out here, and it's probably gonna sit in this space right here where the GTC4 is. But I'm trying to take advantage of the time right now where I have a little bit of space in the shop that I can work around, and then I can actually install this lift, because it helps to have enough floor space to move around and position the 2 posts and then anchor them, and not have to move a whole bunch of cars. But yeah, so that's the update. I mean, a lot of stuff going on in the shop. Even though it's relatively empty, I still have plenty of work, and just trying to keep it all going. So that's basically it. That's what's going on in the shop. And you know, I want to thank you guys for watching and keeping up with all this craziness that's going on here. I don't often ask you guys to subscribe or like and all this other stuff, but you know, evidently it does help to grow the fan base, or at least the viewer base of this channel. So you know, put a like. You know, anytime you react or interact with this channel, it puts more people onto this stuff because it puts it into their feed. So it doesn't take much to just put a like or a comment or something like that on this, and you know, it helps us all, you know, keep building this community. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon. All right, one more thing I forgot to talk about, which is almost subconscious of me, but the elephant in the room, or at least the Alpine in the room, is my poor little Sunbeam Alpine sitting in the corner. I put this car up on jack stands in the fall, thinking to myself, optimistically thinking, oh, I'll put it up in the air and maybe I'll do some work on the fenders, because I've been collecting these patch panel pieces for years. And what happened on this car is that it's, you know, when I bought this car, it was 42,000 original miles, original paint, which is kind of rough looking. But it had a little bit of rust in the fenders, but it wasn't really bad structural. So I just kind of primered it and put some body filler in there. And this is how it's been for the last 30 some odd years. It hasn't really gotten worse, except for this little area here. And so it started to eat through here. And I was like, you know what? The car is not structurally bad. It's not a rusty car, believe it or not. But that, with the water getting up in there, I was like, you know, I really should do something about this. And so I put the car up in the air, thinking that I was going to do it. And what I'm really afraid of is I'm going to put this car back down on the ground, put the wheels on it, and drive it for another year. I wish I had more time to do this. You know, maybe I'll try. I was hoping to put it up in the air and it would inspire me to do it. But as you can see, with all the other projects that's going on in my shop, my personal stuff kind of takes a back seat, especially if I'm thinking about using the Ferrari for you know, this year for this road trip. I'm probably gonna, any of my spare time is going to be put to that. So I hate to say it, but my little Sunbeam is going to suffer some more of just deferred maintenance. She runs, starts, drives, everything like that. Great for the top down. I really don't care about how the cosmetics on it. Such a fun car to drive, but I just, one of these days I may have to just pay somebody to do it, because I just don't have the time. But that's usually the case for most of us car guys. We have more projects than we have time. But anyway, thanks for watching, and that's the story on the Sunbeam.